Hi, this is James Gordon, our Total Library here with another topless video. In today's video, I'll be discussing the top 5 worst novels I read. These are books I read in the past that I did not enjoy, and I will state the reasons why I didn't like them, and along with giving a description of what the books are about. So, I'm going to add spoiler alert, as I will be giving away crucial details, and if you don't agree with my opinions, remember, this is my opinions of what I like and I don't like, so if my opinions don't match yours, there's no need to get into an argument. Just respect my opinion on what I have on these books, as everyone's entitled to enjoy what they like and what they don't like. Alright, on to the video. A Simple Plan by Scott Smith, published 1993. Plot. During the freezing winter, Hank, his older brother Jacob, and his friend Lou are driving his beat-up truck to the cemetery to pay their respects to their parents, which were killed in an accident with a semi-truck years ago. However, the funeral cost both brothers a lot of money, as the family of the truck driver sued them and won the court case. All three men are tight on cash, as their small town doesn't have much work. During the drive, a fox runs across the road, forcing Lou to slam on the brakes and crash his truck into a ditch. Lou's St. Bernard hops out and goes after it. The three men chase after the dog, but deep within the thick forest, Lou spots the wreckage of a plane. Upon closer inspection, they discover that the pilot is dead and his eyes have been eaten out by crows. Inside the wrecked plane, the three men find a duffel bag filled with $4 million inside. Jacob and Lou are thrilled at this discovery, believe they are the luckiest men alive. However, Hank isn't sure they should take it, fearing someone might come looking for it. Jacob convinces Hank to take the money, saying it will not only help them out, but Hank's wife as well. Hank gives in, but states he will hold on to the money, and all three of them agree to wait 6 months till it's safe to use it. However, not everything goes as planned when Lou tells his wife about the money and threatens Hank to hand it over. However, things get worse when the FBI shows up and begins looking for the money, along with one of the surviving criminals who was part of a robbery turned hostage event that went sour. Problems I had with this novel. After hearing A Simple Plan was so dark that film director Sam Riley claimed the novel was too dark, he had to change the ending during the making of A Simple Plan. I can tell you that's a big lie. The novel starts off well, but halfway through it becomes dull and fails to live up to the hype from critics and authors alike. While it is well written, along having good rich detail of scenery and set pieces, however, the characters feel too simple and basic. The violence and little gore are very tame compared to more darker novels I've read. For example, in the novel, the three men find a dead pilot with his eyes eaten out from a pack of crows. In the film, this scene is replaced with the pilot still alive after surviving the crash and freezing cold. Does this sound too dark for you? In the middle of the novel, it gets very slow, bored, and nothing much else happens after Hank has his friend Lou, his wife, their friend, and his own brother, Jacob, murdered. He easily lies to the police, which not once are they suspicious of how Hank happens to be at the crime scene. By the end of the novel, Hank falls victim to a scam, losing a large chunk of his money, and murders a wine store owner along with a customer when Hank learns all the $100 bills from the duffel bag were marked and will be tracked where they came from. But how? This scene, along with Hank destroying the money at the end, was the worst ending. All of this planning, double-crossing, and murder for nothing. During the beginning of the novel, Lou suggests they should burn the plane wreckage to ensure that anyone looking for the money was destroyed in the fire. But Hank is too stupid to make the right choice that would ensure him, Jacob, and Lou getting a fair share of that money. Scott Smith had such opportunity with A Simple Plan to make it an engaging thriller, but kicks back in his seat, creating nothing more than a plain story that does nothing to offer any twists or turns, along with dark moments. And a pointless ending that doesn't make this novel worth reading again. Titan by John Valery, published 1979. Plot. In 2025, a scientific expedition to the planet Saturn aboard the ship Ringmaster discovers a strange satellite in orbit around the planet. Commanding the ship is Chichiko Jones, a tall woman from NASA, aided by astronomer Gary Plague, the clone twins physicist April and August Polo, the engineer Engard Springfield, physicist Calvin Glenn, or Gene, and engineer Bill. As they reach the satellite, they realize it's a huge hollow torus, a Stanford torus habitat. Before they can report this, the ship is entangled in cables from the object. The crew is rendered unconscious and later wakes up inside the habitat. Chikaro awakens naked and is separated from the crew. She finds Gabby and the rest of the crew. The crew encounters the Titanites, a sentry-like being who speaks a language based on music. Chikaro somehow is able to understand them and speak their language. The Titanites are at war with bird-like humanoid creatures called angels. They fight on impulse that occurs when they are near each other but don't know why they have this impulse. Crew learns from the Titanites that there is a controlling intelligence called Giga, and it lives up 600 kilometers above them in a hub of the Taurus. Chikaro, Gabby, and Glenn decide to climb up to find out what's going on and how to get off this planet they're trapped on. Problems I had with this novel. The synopsis of Titan sounds like the kind of science fiction novel I enjoy reading. It starts off very strong with interesting characters and rich detail of scenery from the ship, the crew, and the planet of Titan. But the moment when the main character goes to find out, everything falls apart here. When Chikaro fights off Glenn, who attacks and assaults both her and Gabby, she reaches the Gabriel when everything stops and learns that the whole event was nothing more than a computer simulator from none other than Glenn. None of the characters were real, just programs Glenn created for his own amusement. This is just a really lame ending that annoyed me after getting so into the story, only to find out it was nothing more than a fantasy. John Valery didn't know how to end Titan, so came up with the lamest ending he could think of, nor do I plan on reading any other books from this series. Beast of Burden by Pernille Carson and Dan Gimmin. First published in 1982, then translated to English in 1983. Plot. Leffy Wallman is a professional truck driver who has been making long trips across Europe and the Middle East for 5 years. While he makes a lot of money doing this work, his girlfriend Akira wants Leffy to quit so they can spend more time together. Leffy promises that he'll do one more job and then he'll go on vacation. Meanwhile in Russia, Makarov kills his own squad and steals a nuclear warhead during a routine exercise while in a snowstorm. The KGB are unable to find Makarov or where the nuke has gone. With no choice, they contact the CIA for help, believing the nuke has been stolen by terrorists. While making his final run, Leffy bumps into an old friend of his, Propin, and the two travel together until they are pulled over by police in Turkey and are thrown in jail for the night and left out the next day. Unsure what that was all about, they continue on with their trip as Leffy is unaware what he's carrying in his trailer. The CIA agent travels to Israel to work with Moss agents finding members of a mixed Middle East and European terrorist group. After a nearly failed raid and torturing a terrorist member to death, both CIA and Moss agents learn of the Swedish truck driver Leffy Wallman, but are unsure if he's being forced to work for the terrorists or he's part of their plan. Leffy is nearly finished with his run when he's forced to stop and is knocked out by Ebb terrorists. They force him to drive to a secret garage out in the desert and learns they plan to kill some powerful leaders using his truck and the nuke as a weapon, and they brought it through customs while he and his friend were in jail. Leffy also finds out they killed his best friend Propin. Is it all over for Leffy, or does he have a chance of stopping the terrorist plan? Problems I had with this novel. When you see novels from Europe that have been translated to English, there's a good chance you might have found a hidden gem that most people might have not known about this novel. However, Beast of Burden isn't one of those novels. On the back, the synopsis states that this is the most action-packed novel with violence, mayhem, drama, and sex. This is an over-exaggeration, as there's very little action, some scenes of violence here and there, very little sex, just lies that fail to impress me. While the writing was good with detail in different places around the world, some characters were better developed than others. However, none of them really interest me since I didn't find anything to like about them. But in the end, Beast of Burden is just a basic road thriller that doesn't have any of the hardcore action it claims to have, and last, its ending is very weak. Terrorists plan to kill some powerful leaders in the country for no reason other than wanting to do it for fun is really lame. Not worth wasting your time with this novel, as I'm sure you'll find better road thrillers than Beast of Burden. The Hell Candidate by Grant Masterton, published in 1980. Plot. Following the present election of Hunter Pro for the eyes of his legislator, Jack Russell, through Jack's eyes, the man he's working with to be president is the right choice and seems to be the kind, good, caring person. That all changes when Hunter wants to reshape America, what he calls Wild West, by restocking on arms, going to war with Vietnam, Cuba, Middle East, and Russia. making the upper class richer and getting rid of the poor. Everyone is shocked by Hunter's sudden change. However, to their amazement, Hunter is convincing every American citizen of his plans. At first, Jack doesn't think Hunter's crazy plan is going to work, but when he's proven wrong, he fears if he leaves now, it will only get worse. But as he stays, it does. But as he stays and does everything to aid in Hunter's campaign, things do get worse. Everyone that stands in Hunter's way will be embarrassed, physically harmed, or even killed. After winning the most votes, Hunter Pro becomes the 40th President of the United States, and with everyone at his side, nothing can stop him now. He's already planning World War III on every country he sees as America's enemy. Jack and his girlfriend Jennifer fear if they don't do something to stop him, the whole world might be destroyed in nuclear warfare. But how can they stop Hunter Pro as they learn he has dark magic and can do anything with it? Even kill a person without touching them. When Jack and Jennifer are taking a vacation to relax, they bump into a priest. They tell him what they have seen, and the priest knows what they must do. Get the Pope from Italy to do an exorcism against Hunter Pearl to drive out the devil in him. Problems I had with this novel. One of the slower-paced novels I read and barely make it for these types of novels. However, I want to see the ending to this obscure horror novel, and this was a real letdown. While it had some good moments along with a few funny scenes and scary moments with an impressive transformation of Hunter Pearl turning into a wolf-like demon with two cocks, but the Hell Candidate doesn't get any better nor offer anything else. Graham Masterton just kicks back and lazily writes a satanic-themed horror novel, not taking full advantage of what could have been a really good novel. With so much potential, just think of the mayhem, violence, demons, and satanic fiends that could have been touched on in The Hell Candidate. Sadly, all that potential gone to waste. Characters were basic or just plain, with only Hunter Pearl being the most interesting one within this novel. But by far the worst thing ever about The Hell Candidate was its ending. Watching Pearl Hunter do everything in his power to become president, only to lose against the Pope and the Holy Bible was just really disappointing. Such a cliche ending with any holy figure always triumphing over evil is so boring. No shocking or dark ending, just disappointing on a novel that could have been a lot better. American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis, published 1991. Plot. Set in the late 80s in NYC, Patrick Bateman, a young investment banker who enjoys listening to his favorite pop music albums on his stereo system in his fancy apartment, working out, hanging out with colleagues, doing drugs, and picking up attractive women. However, unlike the rest of Patrick Bateman's friends, he has an interest for the macabre and has fantasized about killing people. After murdering a homeless man along with his dog, Patrick Bateman kills one of his colleagues, Paul Owen, over a bad business card. He begins a killing spree from prostitutes to anyone he feels like killing as his insanity is growing worse and his mind is losing touch with reality. But is any of this real, or is it? Problems I had with this novel. During my endless search to find dark and violent novels, I heard American Psycho was ranked as a very dark, disturbing, and controversial. However, after ordering my copy and reading a good chunk into this novel, I wasn't impressed with it. There are scenes where Patrick Bateman goes on and on about what products he buys, what type of furniture he owns, what skin and hair products he uses, and so on. Some of these scenes I didn't mind when it came to what type of clothing he wears, to his taste in music, or the layout of his apartment, but I don't need to know what kind of microwave he owns or brand of soap he uses. It's unnecessary information that just adds too much filler. The pacing could get really slow at times, making it a chore to read through each page, just waiting for something interesting to happen. The first murder happens on page 128, where Patrick kills a homeless man and his pet dog. After that, it goes back into its slow pacing and unwanted filler that I have to read through again. Brent spent too much time on filling every page with detail and less story elements. Overall, I found American Psycho so boring with nothing else to keep me wanting to read any more of it. And lastly, it didn't have anything else I liked about it. Didn't enjoy Brent's writing style or his unnecessary filler to the point where it was all style and no substance. And that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the October Library and the Facebook group as well, a place you can post, share, and review fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later. American Silo. Oh. American Silo. American Silo.